Hello, all you freedom-loving people. Canada has a new Liberal Party leader replacing Trudeau. RFK is investigating links between vaccines and autism, and X removed thousands of sites promoting New York Times articles. Okay, let's get into it. Early on Sunday morning, an armed adult man was shot by Secret Service agents during an armed confrontation near the White House. Police sources have revealed the suspect is 27-year-old Andrew Dawson of Indiana. The Secret Service issued a statement saying that the Secret Service had previously received information about a suicidal man traveling from Indiana to Washington, D.C. The Secret Service then actually spotted the man matching the description in the vicinity of the White House and located the car that he parked. He allegedly did everything possible to ensure that he got suicided by police. He was armed with a firearm and a knife when he was confronted by agents. Agents told Dawson to drop the weapons, but he did not comply. That's when Dawson reached toward his waist and the agents opened fire in self-defense. Dawson was transported to the hospital with injuries. No Secret Service agents were harmed in the incident. President Trump also was not at the White House at the time. He was away for the weekend at Mar-a-Lago. On the flight back to the White House from Mar-a-Lago, President Trump spoke to numerous reporters about a variety of topics. When asked if a sale deal for TikTok was imminent, President Trump told reporters on Air Force One it's possible.
There could be. We're dealing with 4 different groups, and a lot of people want it, and it's up to me. So there could be.
Who are you leaning towards?
All 4 are good.
And President Trump is optimistic about the truce talks between Russia and Ukraine.
I think you're going to have eventually, and maybe not in the distant future, you're going to have some pretty good results coming out of Saudi Arabia this week.
Are you going to resume aid to Ukraine if they sign the minerals deal?
Well, I think they will sign the minerals deal, but I want them to want peace. Right
How do
now,
they show that? How do they show they want peace?
Well, right now they haven't shown it to the extent that they should. I think right now they haven't, but I think they will be, and I think it's going to become evident over the next 2 or 3 days. I think eventually, look, we have to have peace. And I'm doing this. Money is one thing. We're going to lose. They spent $350 billion on this. But the big thing, human life. Thousands of people this week, thousands of young soldiers died this week. Hundreds of people died in cities in Ukraine. And we got to get it stopped. It would have never happened if I was president.
President Trump said that the U.S. has just about lifted the intelligence pause on Ukraine. He said it was an approach to get Ukrainians serious about making a deal to end the war with Russia. Also, the New York Times recently reported that Elon Musk and members of President Trump's cabinet have a grudge against each other, specifically naming the beef between Musk and Secretary of State Marco Rubio. But President Trump says there are actually no such problems.
I think they have a fantastic relationship to Elon. And Doge has been incredible. You know, hundreds of billions of dollars of waste and fraud and abuse has been already found. And that doesn't mean they don't have a little bit of an argument here and there about something, or maybe personnel arguments. There's not too many contract arguments. You know, contracts have been found. This is much more than just personnel. And we found hundreds of billions of dollars of fraudulent contracts, or very wasteful, but I think fraud. I think it's fraud.
There was just another plane crash.
And I think really the cabinet, for the most part, I think they get along really well with Elon.
So we can see that what Doge and Elon Musk are doing is not easy. Also, today there was an outage on the X platform. The outage was caused by a massive cyber attack that is ongoing. Thousands of people reported that the platform was down for them. The outage came after Musk and Secretary of State Marco Rubio had publicly sparred with Polish Foreign Minister Radoslaw Sikorski on Sunday. Musk said on X that the Ukraine war would be severely hampered if he turned off Starlink internet access in the Eastern European country. Musk wrote that Starlink had served as the backbone of the Ukrainian army and that their entire front line would collapse if I turned it off. Musk also said that he wanted peace for Ukraine and that he's backed the country in its war effort by providing the internet service. But Surkowski responded by saying that Poland was paying the internet service, and he claimed that Musk was threatening Ukraine. But Rubio wrote in response that Surkowski was just making things up and that no one has made any threats about cutting Ukraine off from Starlink. So today, Musk responded to the outage by saying there still is, a massive cyber attack against X. We get attacked every day, but this was done with a lot of resources. Either a large coordinated group or a country is involved. So as of now, X is still tracing the attacks. But during an interview on Fox, Musk said that the IP addresses originated in the Ukraine.
There was a cyber attack on X today, which shut it down and may have been foreign sourced.
Yes.
It's a big story. You want to give us a moment on that?
Well, we're not sure exactly what happened, but there was a massive cyber attack to try to bring down the X system with IP addresses originating in the Ukraine area.
Elon Musk must also have a hard time tolerating the New York Times fabricated reporting style. Over the past month, the platform X has removed thousands of accounts that were used to boost articles published by the New York Times about a religious group that is persecuted in China called Falun Dafa and about Shenyang performing arts. According to BuzzSumo, a social media analytics tool, one of the articles, which was a Chinese language version of an attack on the Shenyang performing arts, became the most shared New York Times article on X in more than a year. But the accounts were suspected of having ties to the Chinese Communist Party. These accounts all exhibited inauthentic activity. In fact, 80% of the accounts that shared the Chinese language hit piece had no followers at all. Some only ever posted one or more of the New York Times articles attacking Shenyang. Rex Lee, a cybersecurity expert at My Smart Privacy, said it looks like a nation-state automated bot attack. Last year, the Epoch Times reported that Chinese regime leader Xi Jinping in 2022 launched a campaign against Falun Dafa overseas using Western media, and social media influencers to besmirch the practice and various ventures founded by its practitioners. Shenyang is one of the most important targets of the CCP's campaign. The New York Times, over the past 8 months, has published 10 articles attacking Shenyang. 8 of them were also published in the New York Times Chinese language edition. The New York Times has gone to great lengths to find performers all over the world who have been fired or resigned from Shenyang Performing Arts for various reasons, and they allowed them to air their grievances against Shenyang. But the New York Times didn't interview members who are with the group or former members who left the group but still have a positive impression of Shenyang. Even so, the people interviewed by the New York Times couldn't say anything bad about the group other than to complain about the stringent musical and dance techniques that are a requirement of the group. But why would the New York Times be helping the Communist Party in China try and make Shenyang look bad? This may be linked to what General Michael Flynn had to say about Shenyang. He said that Shenyang was able to give a snapshot of 5,000 years of Chinese history in a 2-hour performance, and Flynn said the reason Shenyang cannot perform in China is because the Chinese Communist Party doesn't want the Chinese people and the world to understand the greatness and power of traditional Chinese culture.
And one of the things that comes out of Shenyang is a very strong, it's a powerful, powerful sentiment of faith. And I think that's something, and in fact, I know that the Chinese Communist Party wants nothing to do with faith. And it's a system of government that is very tyrannical. The vast majority of the Chinese people in China know that they are under the boot of a tyrannical dictator, and that's a tragedy. I admire what Shenyang is doing for the world to show the world what a true China can be, and I think that's remarkable. We were talking earlier about how, particularly the New York Times, which is it's one of the major newspapers, certainly news outlets in this country, in the United States, and they've been just attacking this wonderful creative piece of art that Shenyang is. And I wonder, why? You have to ask why. Why is Why is a major United States newspaper working with the Chinese Communist Party to attack this beautiful piece of art, this art form of culture of what China could be?
The Secretary of the HHS, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., has asked the CDC to investigate a possible link between vaccines and autism. This requirement would involve studies using the Vaccine Safety Database, which monitors the safety of vaccines and investigates potential adverse reactions. HHS spokesperson Andrew Nixon said in a statement to CNN, as President Trump said in his joint address to Congress, the rate of autism in American children has skyrocketed.
And you can't even believe these numbers. 1 in 10,000 children had autism, 1 in 10,000, and now it's 1 in 36. There's something wrong, 1 in 36, think of that. So we're going to find out what it is, and there's nobody better than Bobby and all of the people that are working with you. You have the best to figure out what is going on. Okay, Bobby, good luck. It's a very important job. Thank you.
Andrew Nixon said that the CDC will leave no stone unturned in its mission to figure out what exactly is happening. Kennedy has long advocated for a link between vaccines and autism. Of course, the academic field has not been conclusive on this issue, but Kennedy's suspicions are not unreasonable. One clear piece of evidence is that Amish children are generally not vaccinated, and the cases of autism are virtually non-existent in the Amish community. The Canadian Liberal Party selected former central banker Mark Carney as its new leader and eventual Prime Minister of Canada on Sunday. This Liberal leadership contest was triggered by Justin Trudeau's resignation announcement on January 6. The race was between the leading candidates, former central banker Mark Carney, former federal treasurer Chrystia Freeland, former congressional leader Karina Gould, and former Liberal MP Frank Baylis. Carney was in the lead in the polls, and he raised the most money. He won the race on the first ballot with 85.9% of the vote. Under Canada's parliamentary system, Carney does not automatically become Prime Minister. He will have to wait for Trudeau to officially tender his resignation to the Governor-General. Then, Carney will become Canada's first political outsider to become Prime Minister with no real political background. Carney received a bachelor's degree in economics from Harvard University, and he then continued his studies at Oxford University, where he earned a master's degree and a doctorate in economics. He has gained extensive experience in the financial sector. He was an executive at Goldman Sachs before becoming the second youngest head of the Bank of Canada during the 2008 financial crisis. Carney later became the first non-British person to be selected to lead the Bank of England in 2013. In 2014, he was awarded the Order of Canada, and during the COVID-19 crisis, Carney served as an advisor to Boris Johnson's government in Britain. Later in August of 2020, Trudeau invited Carney to serve as an informal advisor to the government, both of who instituted some of the strictest lockdown restrictions in the Western world. Carney publicly branded the Canadian Freedom Convoy trucker protest as representing sedition against the government in Ottawa, and he advocated for the government to go after those who funded the protest movement. Carney has also been at the forefront of the international green agenda. He served as the United Nations Special Envoy for Climate Action and Finance from 2019 until January. And Carney has also warned that climate change is an existential threat, declaring that anyone not aligned with the push for net zero will face consequences. In his victory speech, Carney said that he will work day and night to build a stronger Canada for everyone. The challenges that Carney faces include dealing with the country's volatile economy and dealing with the tariffs imposed by the United States. Carney said, "My government will keep our tariffs on until the Americans show us respect." He also claimed that his government will remove the divisive consumer-facing carbon tax and stop the hike in capital gains tax, which were both introduced by the Trudeau government. Carney expressed that his experience as a former central banker means that he was the best person to deal with President Trump. Another challenge for Carney is the upcoming election. The opposition parties are pushing to overthrow the Liberals. Trudeau adjourned Parliament until March 24th when he announced his resignation in January. If the new government reopens Parliament, it means that they will immediately face a confidence vote. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre will push for an immediate general election. The general election must be held by October 20th, but the Liberals have the option of bringing the polling day forward. Carney will then face fierce competition from the opposition, such as the Conservative Pierre Poilievre and Yves-François Blanchet, who runs the Bloc Québécois. Originally, the Liberal Party was in an unfavorable position. Due to the high cost of living and the housing crisis, the Liberal Party's support rating has been sliding downhill, trailing its rival, the Conservative Party, by more than 20 percentage points at the beginning of this year. But over the past few weeks, President Trump may have inadvertently done the Liberals a favor with his remarks about Canada. With Trudeau, Carney, and other Liberal figures taking a tough stance on the U.S.-Canada trade dispute, this leaves the Conservatives' polling lead narrowed. Therefore, it is possible that Carney also wants to have a general election right away. Carney has been a strong proponent of equivalent retaliatory tariffs on U.S. imports. In his first remarks since the party leadership election results were announced, Carney referred to U.S.-Canada tensions, and he claimed that his government would forge new trade relations with reliable trading partners. He vowed to continue to impose retaliatory tariffs on the U.S. until the Americans respect us. Iran Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei on Saturday rejected President Trump's offer to negotiate a nuclear deal with the United States. President Trump said on Friday that he had sent a letter to Iran's leadership pushing for a nuclear agreement with Iran and giving them two options.
And that's going to be the next thing you'll be talking about is Iran, what's going to happen with Iran. And there'll be some interesting days ahead, that's all I can tell you. You know, we're down to final strokes with Iran. That's going to be an interesting time. And we'll see what happens, but we're down to the final moments. We're at final moments. You can't let them have a nuclear weapon.
President Trump said that his letter said he hopes that the two sides could negotiate, which would be better for Iran. The other option is that the U.S. would have to take action because the U.S. can't afford to have another country with nuclear weapons. In a statement on Saturday, the National Security Council spokesperson Brian Hughes wrote, President Trump said it clearly that there are two ways Iran can be handled, military or by making a deal. But Iran's supreme leader suggests that the talks are meaningless. In a series of posts on X, Khamenei wrote, such negotiations aren't aimed at solving issues. Their aim is to exert their dominance and impose what they want. Khamenei also wrote, telling us not to do this, not to meet that person, not to go there, not to produce this, and to limit the range of our missiles to a certain extent. How can anyone accept such things? So Russia has offered to broker a deal between the U.S. and Iran. Russian Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Rybkov has discussed with Iranian Ambassador Kazem Jalali what can be done to break the deadlock that has developed over Iran's nuclear program. After Iran's supreme leader's statement, the U.S. also had a new countermeasure. The Trump administration on Saturday rescinded a waiver that had allowed Iraq to pay Iran for electricity. This is part of President Trump's maximum pressure campaign against Iran. A State Department spokesperson said that this ensures we do not allow Iran any degree of economic or financial relief. The spokesperson said, we urge the Iraqi government to eliminate its dependence on Iranian sources of energy as soon as possible. Iran is an unreliable energy supplier. The spokesperson claimed that the impact of Iranian electricity imports on the Iraqi power grid is not significant. The spokesperson said in 2023, electricity imports from Iran were only 4% of electricity consumption in Iraq. Then Iran softened its tone. The official account of the permanent mission of the Islamic Republic of Iran to the United States posted on X on Sunday saying, if the objective of negotiations is to address concerns vis-a-vis any potential militarization of Iran's nuclear program, such discussions may be subject to consideration. However, should the aim be the dismantlement of Iran's peaceful nuclear program, to claim that what Obama failed to achieve has now been accomplished, such negotiations will never take place. According to the Wall Street Journal, Iran has 40% inflation and its currency has lost 95% of its value since 2018. This means that Iran is at one of its weakest points. It means that if the U.S. is going to seek a deal, it's right to press for one that would be just as good as if you won militarily. On Thursday, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent expressed confidence that sanctions on Iran can collapse its already buckling economy. Now, he needs the green light to cut off Iran's oil exports to China. But the Iranian industry is also very good at negotiating. Then on Monday, Iran's foreign ministry reiterated that Iran has not received a letter from President Trump. The foreign ministry spokesperson responded to a reporter's question during his weekly briefing by saying, "I will answer your long question with a short response. No letter has been received." This might be a tacit way to raise the asking price, to negotiate, and then talk until America loses the ability to snap back the United Nations sanctions in October. This is while, on the same day, warships from Russia and China entered Iran's territorial waters ahead of joint naval exercises that will begin on Tuesday. The exercises involve warships and support vessels from the Iranian Navy and the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Navy alongside Russian and Chinese naval forces. However, President Trump dismissed this move as inconsequential. During an interview on Fox News, when asked if the drills concerned him, President Trump responded, "No, not at all. We're stronger than all of them. We have more power than all of them. I rebuilt the military." And that's a wrap for this episode. Thank you so much for your support of Front Page. Please remember that every like, comment, and share helps more people to see the truth. If you haven't already, please subscribe. And if you have already subscribed, we thank you. But please double check to make sure that you're still subscribed, because some of our audience have reported that they're somehow unsubscribed without their knowledge. We've also heard that many of you don't get notifications of our videos anymore on YouTube. So when you do subscribe on YouTube, please make sure to tap the notification bell as well. Okay, this is our show for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you like what you heard today, please don't forget to like this video and share it with your friends and family, because everybody deserves to know the truth.